40,000 years ago, what we now call Germany was a brutally inhospitable place. The temperatures were freezing, something with very large teeth was likely pacing outside your cave, and securing a meal was an ongoing crisis. Imagine an early human sitting in that freezing cave. He has one wild, precious afternoon to secure his safety. Does he craft a sharper spear? Does he build a heavier door to block out the predators? No. He sits down with a sharp piece of flint and starts carefully drilling little holes into a piece of animal bone. He looked at a dead griffon vulture, a scavenger bird with a 2.5-meter wingspan, and saw a woodwind. He selected the radius bone from the wing because it is long, hollow, and remarkably light. He carved a precise V-shaped notch at one end to serve as a mouthpiece. Then he scratched faint guidelines to mark exactly where 5 circular holes should go, engineering a fully playable instrument out of the scavenged wing. Why would a man who might not survive until sunrise spend his time building a woodwind thousands of years before the first wheel ever touched the ground? The answer requires us to reevaluate what survival actually meant during the Ice Age. Being isolated out in the elements was a death sentence. One human is a snack, but a tight, coordinated, loyal tribe of 100 humans working together is an unstoppable force of nature. Keeping 100 cold, hungry people from turning on each other is an immense logistical challenge. Other primates build trust by grooming each other one-on-one. That works for a handful of chimpanzees, but you physically cannot pick bugs out of the hair of a 100-person alliance. It does not scale. Early humans needed a biological workaround to bond massive groups simultaneously. They needed an external signal that everyone could lock onto at the exact same moment. They needed a beat. Solving the messy sociology of human cooperation was the actual bottleneck to our ancestors surviving. Preventing a tribe from falling apart was a more urgent engineering problem than figuring out how to roll a heavy rock. When humans vigorously play music in sync, the brain floods the body with endorphins, localized painkillers that increase physical tolerance. A second trick, self-other merging, blurs the neural wiring separating me from you, ending their sense of isolation. The flute served as an invisible conductor, biologically fusing a huddle of terrified individuals into a single trusting organism. The story gets older and more contentious in a Slovenian cave called Divje Babe, where researchers found a bare bone dating back 60,000 years. If this instrument is real, our dim-witted Neanderthal cousins were composing symphonies before we even arrived, but archaeologists are in a fight over this. The opposing camp points out that starving carnivores, like hyenas, frequently crush bones. They argue the spacing is a coincidence of where the teeth landed, making this artifact the world's most debated prehistoric chew toy. Whether it is a flute or a chew toy almost does not matter, because human brains force rhythm onto chaos either way. In laboratory experiments, if you ask people to listen to a completely random string of drumming and repeat it to the next person, the pattern inevitably drifts toward a regular, musical beat. We are rhythm-making machines. The universality of lullabies, chants, and dances across every isolated culture on Earth proves that music is an unshakable, pre-installed piece of our survival hardware. The wheel, when it finally arrived thousands of years later, was a brilliant invention for moving heavy objects. But the flute was already a master at a harder job. The flute moved people, and it moved them together. You carried the exact same neurochemistry as that freezing caveman. It is the reason you get physical chills from a great song, and the reason you can jump up and down in absolute euphoria with thousands of total strangers at a concert. When you put in your headphones to shift your mood, you are running the identical biological software that kept our ancestors bonded and alive through the winter. The hardware got an upgrade, but the hunger for a beat never went away. The most practical, life-saving decision humanity ever made was to sit in a freezing cave and invent something gloriously, beautifully useless.